One summer day, my best friend Christy and I were bicycling to her house, only to find a policeman blocking her patio door. Through it came sounds that I will never forget. Her mother screaming and sobbing uncontrollably. I often remember these echoes of that officer's voice saying, "You can't go in." But Christy kicked him in the shins and barreled right through the door. It was the 15th of August, 3 days before our 13th birthday, which we always celebrated together. Her father had shot himself, killed by his own hand, suicide. According to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, firearms account for almost 50% of suicide deaths. So what are your chances of being in that similar situation to that of that young officer, clenching his shins? Fortunately, not that high. But according to the 2013 suicide report on Indiana.gov's website, in 2010, the overall death rate for Hoosiers was 13.100,000 people. 21% of those were among males, and 6% were among females. These statistics may seem minute, but to those left behind with the aftermath, they are of cold comfort. Some of us know that intimately. Death may be a part of normal, natural, expected life cycle, but death by a sudden, unexpected, traumatic form, by death, particularly suicide, is not. These deaths bring significant challenges as personal, family, and community levels. They cause ripples like a stone thrown into the water. What do you say to the woman whose husband never came home? What do you say to the mother whose son was found dangling from a tree? How do you talk to the sister, brother, cousin, friend, co-worker of somebody who died from suicide? What is it that you say to children or teenagers different than what you'd say to an adult? Talking about it is tough, but it's necessary. Recovery is shaped by responses, good, bad, or indifferent. What we say and do matters as parents, teachers, friends, neighbors, business partners, employers, medical or social workers. In fact, whoever we are in relation to those people experiencing bewilderment and pain, our actions count. Research shows us that how we handle the aftermath directly affects what happens for those left reeling. The old cliche is true. We can be part of the problem or part of the solution. To be part of the problem, that is to perpetuate the myths, the stigma of suicide, to propel it forward and pin its ugliness to those already suffering, all you need to do is absolutely nothing. Unfortunately, Christy and I know this from personal experience. We can avoid these people, cut them out from our lives, reject them as though they are contagious, or blame and shame them. It was something that they did. The fault lie within them. We could talk about anything else except this event, the person who is gone, or peddle other cliches such as, "You'll get over it in time, and time will heal everything." Or maybe credit the event as evidence of that person's tragic but heroic personality. They were just too big for this life, too intelligent, creative, or sensitive for this life. Suicide was their only option. All of that and more happened to and in Christy's family. The long-term effects, not only not being allowed to, or able or encouraged to express themselves openly or honestly about her father's suicide, haunted all of us in various forms. Her family lugged deep-seated guilt around for years. We were all frightened of change, and yet fascinated by danger. And yes, we flirted with death in various guises. We knew we were flawed, tainted, but didn't know how and by what. Her family's relationship suffered accordingly. I think we all collectively struggled, with each in our own way, to find strength in our abilities to realize them. In short, we behaved much like victims, trapped in a silence compounded and strengthened by time. Life was a battle. The fight was to find balanced reality. To be part of the solution, which I know you all want to be, is to open yourself, to acknowledge your own fear about suicide, and to learn how to support either yourselves or others who need it. With support, we know we can lessen the long-term impact. We can't take away the initial pain, the horror, the sense of betrayal, shame, or anger, but we can work towards a solution, equipping people to emerge from the experience strengthened and healthy. For children and young people, that means finding safe support groups and mentors. For teachers, health workers, and others who work in a professional capacity with people affected by suicide, it means knowing where to turn for credible, helpful advice. For families, it means acknowledging precisely where the lifelines are and how and why and when to access them. For communities, it means understanding and respecting cultural differences and working within those frameworks to provide meaningful support. Out of their collective pain has come a valuable, life-affirming hub of knowledge. Now there is no need to unwittingly cause more pain through either ignorance or misguided belief that through not talking about it, it will disappear. And for that, I am grateful. This wasn't there when her family needed it most, but it is there today. Let's make sure that we use it. Let's make sure we find out as much as we possibly can about depression, the warning signs, and what to do about it. Let's make sure we know the resources are out there for those groups in our communities already identified through studies as vulnerable. And lastly, let's make sure we support each other wholeheartedly in learning to live openly and fully without judgment and name-calling. This is widespread and understandable concern about publicly discussing suicide. We know from research there is a direct correlation between how suicide is reported and subsequent events. Coverage of a high-profile celebrity suicide romanticizes and ideals the person's actions and life spawns copycatting. As describing the method chosen or making the event from Page News, we've gotten into the desire to protect us from our own vulnerabilities, and that the ending is the final act is a much longer story. The story needs telling. What signs were there along the way? How and why did we miss reading them? What can we learn from that? Knowledge is power. When it is collectively shared, the effort ripples outward, embracing more and more changes occur. Destructive patterns are broken, new pathways are forged, and changes in attitude are made. Whoever needs it, wherever they are, it is now true more than ever that they do not walk their path alone. The internet today makes it possible to access the information you need almost immediately. In fact, my3app.org has a tool that you can download on your Apple iPhone or an Android system absolutely free. And it has navigation menus to help you locate whatever you need. Also, there's a very helpful website, American Foundation Suicide Prevention, that has various tabs to address personal issues, amongst others, how to support a suicidal person, and even be trained in bereavement. Whatever group you belong to, you can be empowered. There is hope. What you can do to make a difference is read, learn, refer, and donate your time and expertise. It's easy to find a way that's appropriate for you. We know for every one death by suicide, there are at least 6 profoundly affected. Those 6 people interact with at least 6 others, and although the impact on them is diluted, it's still there. Those 6 know 6 more, and it grows wider and wider. We may not be able to reach everybody in time, but we can each do what is within our own personal power, that is to spread understanding and compassion, to give practical love and support through knowledge. We are all worth it. Do it for those who live as well as for those who have died, and do it now. There is a quote that I found from 2001. It says, "The person who completes suicide dies once. Those left behind die 1,000 deaths, trying to relive those terrible moments and understand why." I invite all of you to find out more by accepting a flyer that I have, outlining some of the services and help available. If you need to talk to someone or myself related about anything that I have stated, please don't hesitate to ask me or take a flyer. Thank you.